Shimla is a town in India. Shimla is a town in India. And looks like this town hosted three very powerful meetings, very powerful agreement that changed the shape of Indian subcontinent. Today, 50% of Indian people they do not have two times food, and India is a progressive country, and if we do believe on the new government by 2047, India will become a developed country. Right now, 50% people they do not have two times food. India is sliding down in the World Hunger Index. Everywhere it is going. Unemployment rate is growing. There is no focus on science and technology. Nothing. But India will become a developed country and it will stand with the developed country who have complete focus on science and technology. Either it is a Japan, it is China. China all of a sudden become a developed country because of science and technology only. The award what China is giving in science and technology, that award is has more monetary benefit than the Nobel Award. That much China is looking into science and technology. But India has nothing to do with science and technology. Nothing. But in next 20 years, 22 years, India will become a developed country. Anyway, how it will become developed country, only God knows. Anyway, we are talking about similar agreements that happened in 1940 between India, Tibet, and China. Why it was important? Because Tibet was more or less it was in phase of being captured by Russia, both Tibet and Kashi Kashgar. When King dynasty was over, this region became orphaned region. Orphaned region means no one had control of this region. They had their independent government, Tibet government and Kashi Kashgar. Now Russia was eyeing upon capturing these two, not capturing Tibet. Dalai Lama. He was talking about Russia. Russia is so good country and this and that. Means Britishers felt that Tibet is trying to get aligned with the Russia in that fashion to make sure that Tibet will not come under the control of Russia. 1914 Shimla Agreement Britishers proposed with Tibet, India, and China. The idea was to transfer the power of Tibet to the China. So 1914 Shimla Agreement was brought in to transfer the power of Tibet to China. Even though at that time Tibet was bifurcated into two parts. In 1914 Shimla Agreement, Tibet was bifurcated into two parts. Outer Tibet, that Tibet we know, and inner Tibet that went to China in 1914 itself. And then outer China was thinking that in order to get rid of Russian, that Britishers would give complete Tibet to them. This is what China was thinking, and that's why they came to Simla for agreement. But Britishers they divided Tibet into two parts, and inner Tibet that is near to China, they gave it to Tibet, low-lying Tibet, and high-lying Tibet. It stayed with the Tibet itself. Otherwise, there would be revolt in India because it was considered as aligned to India. So Britishers could not muster courage to do that. But China in 1914 itself, China understood this very well that Tibet is an independent country till Britishers are here. Once Britishers go from here, it will capture Tibet because more or less this is what Britishers want, and it happened in that fashion only. 1947, when Britishers left, then China first it acquired the Kashi region, and then it acquired Tibet region because this is what was given a hint to China in 1947, 1914, 1914 Shimla Agreement, very historical agreement happened. Another very historical Shimla Agreement happened in 1945 time frame. Very few people know that there is a second Shimla Agreement happened in 1945 time frame. The Viceroy to India, Viceroy is considered more or less considered as the army personnel, the commander in chief or something like that, who would lead India. He was a military person. He used to be a military person, and then he was staying in India, controlling India. Means more or less he was reporting to the Prime Minister or King or Queen of Britain. That was Viceroy, the highest post in India, Viceroy of India. Okay, in that fashion, I believe I have named uh, uh, Wavell, I believe Wavell, Mr. Wavell, in 1945 time frame, he was Viceroy of India. May 1945. In 1943, he came. He was in British Army, and Churchill, Mr. Churchill, he was Prime Minister of Britain from the Conservative Party. I believe so. I'm not sure. I believe he was from Conservative Party. He was not from Labour Party, that is for sure. There are three parties out there: Liberal, Labour, and Conservative. Either he was from Liberal Party or Conservative Party. Mr. Churchill, very church in Churcha, that is in Hindi, Churchill, very famous name there. And he appointed 1943 Mr. Wavell or something like that. I'll read it out as the Viceroy of India. And in 1945 time frame, after 2 years, he went back to the England, and then there he made a kind of a new rule and regulation for the India. Okay, this is what he drafted in England when he went in May 2000, May 1945. Viceroy of India is going to England and he is meeting Churchill out there, and he is drafting the future of India. He comes back and he is inviting Indian politicians to come to Shimla. And this is called Shimla Pact, Shimla Agreement between British India or Viceroy of Britain and Indian politicians like Mahatma Gandhi and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. I believe Sardar Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru, all were there. For certain, Jinnah and Mahatma Gandhi were there. For certain, mainly means Congress leaders and Muslim League leaders. They were available in the June 1945 Simla Agreement between Viceroy of England and Indian politicians. And the idea was to make a executive council. I believe that is the name, called executive council. Executive council, this is the idea Mr. Viceroy he put forth in front of Indian politicians. After Second World, more or less it became clear that India will become independent country. That was more or less clear, and Britishers would go away. This was also clear. But how the future of India will be, the Viceroy of Britain, he proposed a executive council. Executive council means there will be a ministerial, there will be a ministry of each department. There will be many departments like defense, trade, then education. There will be many departments, and this department will be headed by the member of the executive council. Okay, this is what Mr. Viceroy he proposed to the Indian politicians, and they were ready. There are 8 points that he read it there. That he 8 points he finalized when he visited England, and in that 8 points, the ministers in the executive council or in the ministerial list, half of will be Muslim and half of it will be Hindu, and that way, and for that they will belong to higher caste system. There are higher caste and lower caste. All the minister must belong to higher caste only, in Muslim also, in Hindu also. This is what he proposed. Okay, at the end, Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Congress, means Muslim League and Congress, they started fighting in a way that whatever the representative of executive council will be, the Muslim candidate, the half of it will be Muslim, and Muslim candidate will be appointed by Muslim League, not by the Congress. But Congress said no. The representative, Muslim representative, will also be appointed by Congress party only, not the Muslim League. And the why this is important. The Shimla Agreement 1945 between Viceroy of Britain and Indian politician at that time, because it paved a path for bifurcation of India. Bifurcation of India till 1945 June time frame, there was no idea of separate Pakistan at all. Okay, idea was that it will be full India, and then in India it will be governed by ministers, and in those ministers 50% will be Muslim and 50% will be Hindu. In Muslim and Hindu, higher caste people only will be appointed, not the lower caste people will be appointed. That was the scenario in this Simla agreement happened. But there was a fight between Congress and Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Muslim League. Muslim League will appoint the Muslim representative, not the Congress. That was the kind of, someone can say, that was the clash that happened between Congress and Muslim League. Now, that is the one scenario. Second scenario is, so this was more or less ready that India will be led by the Executive Council people. Executive Council of Viceroy. That is the better word. Viceroy, he is the Prime Minister of India or he is the caretaker of India. And Viceroy will have the ministry. And this ministry will have half Muslim, half Hindu. Muslim and Hindu representative will be only from higher caste. That is another thing. Now, these Muslim and Hindu representative, they will be nominated by either of them, either Muslim League or Congress. But Muhammad Ali Jinnah, he was completely he was kind of adamant that half Muslim will be appointed by Muslim League only. Only Hindu will be appointed by Congress. That Congress was not ready. Anyway, in 1945 itself, England had election after World War II and Labour Party came into the picture. And later Labour Party changed everything, concept of executive council itself, it changed. And Labour Party conducted two elections in India. One is the one is the Central Assembly election in December 1945 and one assembly election, that is nowadays it is called Vidhan Sabha election, assembly election in January 1946, and that paved the war for the new country called Pakistan. We will read it through. So 1945, 1914, 1914 paved the war for the acquiring the Tibet and Kashi by the China. This is what Britishers wanted, and that's why when Britishers left India 1947, immediately after that Kashi, that is Xinjiang now, by captured by China, and later 1951 China started capturing the Tibet, because this is what was 1914 Shimla agreement, and that's why India kept quiet. India kept quiet because they had to follow what Britishers had said. If that is true, then 1962 war between India and China, when China captured Aksai Chin or whatsoever, that was a more or less fake war, because everything was decided in 1914 only. Because after 1947, China kept saying India that Aksai Chin region is part of China, because through Aksai Chin only someone will commute from Tibet to Xinjiang. That is the comes in the path itself, and that path belongs to China. Why this path belongs to China? Because Tibet and Kashi belongs to China. Why it belongs to China? Because it should not belong to Russia. Why it should not belong to Russia? Because this is what Britishers made clear in 1914 Simla Agreement, 1945 Simla Agreement. Okay, so 1945 Simla Agreement. So it happened between Lord Wavell, 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 Lord Wavell, 1945, and he was Viceroy of the India and political leaders of the India in 1945. Okay, so that is the situation. It is same as now. Now, Viceroy explained to the people that this is executive council. We will have a executive council of Viceroy. Viceroy will have executive council. Prime Minister will have ministers. Viceroy later changed to Prime Minister of India. Viceroy later become Prime Minister of India. Executive Council member, it become ministry. Okay, I believe it is all right. Okay, that is the scenario. Now he is saying Viceroy announced new Executive Council member to be all Indian except Viceroy and Commander in Chief. They will be there. Viceroy and Commander in Chief will be there. Okay, till constitution come into in effect, executive council would take over. So till constitution of India comes, means 1945 Shimla agreement gave a path for the Indian independence. That is for true. And this executive council will be in effect till the constitution is made, except defense. Except defense. So defense will be in the hand in ministry. Defense ministry will be hand of England only. So commander in chief and viceroy, they will be from England only. Other other than main military power will be in hand of India. Okay, so that is the scenario. What are the points that Mr. Wavell he read in the June Simla agreement? He read 8 points out there in front of Mahatma Gandhi and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. So these are 8 points. The first point is the viceroy, the viceroys, apostrophe s, viceroy of the viceroy for the viceroy. The viceroy's executive council, like prime minister's secretary, like viceroy, the viceroy's executive council would be immediately reconstituted and the number of its members would be increased. That is number one. Number two is equal representative of high caste Hindus and Muslims. High caste, that is also mentioned. Third is all members of the council except the viceroy and the commander in chief would be Indians. This is what he finalized when he visited England in May 1945. Number four, an Indian would be appointed as a member for the foreign affairs in the council and a British commissioner would be responsible for the trade matter. Indian minister will be their foreign minister, but trade, trade will be taken care by the Britishers only. Means military, defense and trade, money and power will be retained by Britishers only. Indian minister will take care of foreign affairs, no problem. The defense of India would remain in Britishers' hands until power was ultimately transferred to the Indians. Number six, the Viceroy would convene meeting of Indian politicians, including the leaders of Congress and the Muslim League, at which they would nominate members of the new council. Means Viceroy would nominate the members of new council. In this number seven, in this plan, if this plan were to be approved for the central government, then similar councils of local politician leaders would be formed in all the provinces. So all provinces will have similar arrangement, half Muslim, half Hindu. This is called state ministers. These are central ministers. Everything was decided by Britishers only. Number eight, none of the changes suggested would in any way prejudice or prejudge the essential form of the future permanent constitution of India. Whatever we are talking about, this may not be the part of constitution of India. No one should guess that this is what is going to be part of constitution of India, was decided by these people only. This is what he is. Repeatedly he is saying Constitution of India, Constitution of India. But as per the we read in the book, there is some Ambedkar, he wrote the Constitution of India. Then why Mr. Wavell is talking about Constitution of India repeatedly? And what will be there in the Constitution of India? Points to be noted. The eighth point. None of the changes suggested would in any way prejudice or prejudge the essential form of the future permanent constitution of India. When future permanent constitution of India will come through, then whatever we are doing, it cannot be adjudged as prejudice or prejudge. This is the anyway. 1945 itself, Labour Party came in England and they started talking about immediate power transfer to the India. Power transfer to the India. Immediately India should become as a separate country. They were not in mood to continue with India now, Labour Party. They were in a mood to transfer the power to the Indians in 1945 itself. And in hurry hurry, there was election in December 1945, Central Assembly election, and January 1946, Provincial Assembly election. And in provincial election, in Central Assembly election, Congress won 57 seats out of 102 seats, and Muslim League Board won 13. In provincial election 1946 January, 90% of the Hindu dominated region was won by Congress, and 90%, 80%, 87% of Muslim dominated region were won by Muslim League. Means Pakistan region and Bangladesh region, these two regions were Muslim dominated. 87% of representative of this Muslim region in provincial election, MLA election, were from Muslim League only. That was a path for the bifurcation of India in January 1946 itself. Okay, that came as that for which the foundation was laid in 1945 Shimla Agreement only by Mr. Wavell. Okay, where the Muhammad Ali Jinnah was fighting for the Muslim representative, means Muslim and Hindu will be separate. And then general election was conducted, and Muslim and Hindu region were separately seen in the general election, and where Muslim were represented by Muslim League and Hindu region were represented by Congress. And India indeed it became a divided country in 1947, where only problem was which districts will go to Pakistan and which district will remain with India in this division. That was a matter of dispute, and that's how it resulted in sudden violence when these districts were announced on 12th or 11th of August 1947. All of a sudden, the the violence erupted when they came to know that Lahore will go to Pakistan, where Hindus were more or less equal to the Muslim in Lahore district, and then violence erupted. If they had decided it 3 years back only, which district, only decision came as more or less that there will be two countries. But now which area will go which side? 1945 Simla Agreement that gave a path for the not only division of India, that gave a path for the casteist India. Higher caste only can rule the India. This is mentioned by Britishers. Only higher caste would rule the India. Point to be noted. And that led to the making of Mandal Commission and this commission. I don't know what is the benefit what British mean. Britishers completely broke the country and they left. They left. Now today condition is that hungerness. It does not see you belong to which caste and community. Everyone is suffering. 1945 mind-blowing historical Shimla agreement that happened in Shimla by and conducted by Mr. Viceroy Wavell.